Roll VTRA.
Good evening. I'm Betty Lou Varnum. Welcome again to Stringer's Newscast. And with me, Rick Koch, our director, and John Anderson, who is our audio person. And we're glad that you're here. This is a program that for the next half hour is going to show you people film. Film shot by people like you, not professionals. And we think you're going to like the film, especially the first one. We've had a lot of requests to see this film because it is the film that we use in the promos for Stringers. It was done by David Gobbin from Lucas. The film itself is called Uba Koi Lu, and Mr. Gobbin did all of the models himself. It's a fine example of film animation.
Roll V, zoom in.
And that was Uba Koilu.
7.
Don't forget that we want your film. All you have to do, whether it's Super 8 sound or silent or 16mm film, send it to Stringer's Newscast, WOI-TV, Ames, Iowa, 50011.
Touch the cart.
We'll transfer it to videotape, we'll edit it if necessary, and we will send it back to you.
Go back to 2.
More film when Stringer's Newscast continues after this message.
Music up.
Continuing with the films that you, our viewers, have sent to us, a Super 8 film now by Mike Lawyer. Mike is the photographer. He's from Des Moines, and he filmed two of his friends, Greg Holland and Larry Quinn.
Roll B,
They like
5
Kung
seconds.
Fu. We think you will too.
And my sound on B. Take B.
From a film on Kung Fu to another sport, this
Number
time
3.
volleyball, and a film
1,
called Bump
2.
Pass. James Porterfield of Alexander originally did this film as an instructional film, and we think that you'll like it. It's called
Roll B.
Bump Pass.
Roll 2. Zoom in. Ready, sound on B.
This is the first in a series of 6 films. Each one will deal with one of the 6 basic play actions of volleyball. Although the spike and the block at the net are the most exciting plays in volleyball, neither one could be performed without a good bump pass to start each offensive series of bump, set, and spike. This film is your opportunity to review what you have read in the text and to practice the basic techniques of the bump pass. Your instructor will stop the film at any point necessary to allow everyone to demonstrate the correct technique of the form being shown. For simplicity, we will cover the bump pass in 4 separate parts. First, arm and hand position. Secondly, leg position. Third, initial setup. And fourth, hitting motion. Volleyball is meant to be a game of skill in making a controlled hit of a round ball rather than catching and throwing it. Therefore, one of the biggest no-nos is having an open hand when hitting a ball that is below shoulder height. It is illegal. There are two generally accepted ways to position your hands when executing a bump pass. The first is to clench your fists and place them together with thumbs parallel and touching. Rotate your wrist downward. The second method is to leave the right hand open and to clasp it with the left hand. Thumbs point down and away from the body. Now extend your arms forward and lock your elbows. Rotate them outwards. If you do not lock your elbows, it could lead to embarrassment and possibly a bloody nose, as the ball will bounce back over your head or back up into your face. The proper way is to have one foot slightly forward of the other to help distribute weight and keep your balance. Feet should be spaced shoulder width apart so it feels comfortable. Weight should be on the balls of the feet, not on the heels. Maintain a low crouch position. This means you'll have to flex at the ankles, the knees, and at the waist. Your arms should be extended with elbows locked, and they should be roughly parallel to the thighs. Always face the player or area to which you intend to hit the ball. This is very important and should be stressed heavily. Keep the ball in front of the body. Try not to let it get to one side or the other. Now get into position. The ball should contact both forearms somewhere between the wrist and no more than 6 inches up on the forearm. The angle of the arms to the upper trunk of the body should be about 90 degrees at moment of contact. The lifting action is accomplished by the legs. Do not forcibly swing arms to propel the ball. The upward motion is initiated at the instant of contact with the ball. Now try it without a ball. Move quickly to a spot, set up, focus on an imaginary ball, contact, and follow through. Now pair up and have your partner toss a ball up, and you try and bump it at least 15 feet in the air and back to your partner. Now that you have seen how to do it, your instructor will show you 2 or 3 drills you can use to improve your skills. To pass this course, each player will be required to successfully bump 6 of 10 serves and 8 of 10 free balls at least 15 feet high and have them land in the designated area on his own side of the net. Each player will field 10 serves and 10 free balls while stationed at each one of the 5 positions shown here. So no matter what size you are, you will always find a need for the bump pass. And in the process, you will find that a good bump passer is a very appreciated and necessary member of any team.
Bump pass. Early in March, WOI-TV did a telethon in Des Moines for the Variety Club. It was the 1978 Variety Club Telethon, and we raised over $300,000. During the 19 and a half hours that we were on the air, Denny Goodrich of Ames shot film sequences and traces and reminds you of scenes from telethon. the reasons that people shoot film is to show things the way they are when that's the way they were becomes the time frame. At any rate, there is something that's happening on the Iowa State University campus that is going to make it
Stand by to roll B2.
possible to remember it only through film. And that is the demolition of Clyde Williams Football Stadium. That will happen in June. And before it could happen, Mark Baldwin from Des Moines filmed this sequence
Roll B,
for his
5
basic
seconds.
film technique class at Iowa State University.
And dissolve.
Monumental yet empty, alone. Clyde Williams Stadium, the scene of Iowa State football for 50 years. When you stand inside and look around, you can almost feel the magnificence that was once here. The Saturday afternoon crowds whose roar could be heard blocks away, or the songs ringing from the band as it marched down the field for another halftime show. Yes, all that was once here, but now all the stadium knows is loneliness. Gone are the roaring crowds who scampered up and down the ramps to their seats. Gone are the lines that converged on the concession stands. The sizzle of hot dogs on the grill and the clank of money in the change boxes isn't here anymore. The hundreds of voices all calling out orders and the rushing of the concession attendants to fill those orders is all gone. Dust is the only thing that collects on these shelves now. The signs lie on the snow, reflecting only the changing times, reminding us only of how things once were. And the students, whose girl-passing tricks and calls for the mixed men, all have moved out. Memories, the good as well as the bad, are all that remain. Memories brought back through words, but more vividly by pictures. For an instant, our thoughts of a lonely, empty stadium seem to fade when we leaf back through the archives of history. Once again, Clyde Williams seems to expound with the roar of the crowds. Scenes are relived again and again with the turn of every page until we have retraced our thoughts back to the beginning. Here, as we turn back in time, we become totally engrossed in our memories, flipping the pages in anticipation till finally it's as if we are right there. The pictures seem to come alive, and it's as if you can almost hear the crowds rise to their feet for the final plays. These are indeed just memories. Yes, loneliness is the only thing Clyde Williams knows now.
One more day. Glory looking day, glory day, glory looking day. And in its glory it told a simple way. Behold it if you may.
There is a saying, old soldiers don't die, they just fade away. In this case, Clyde Williams is the soldier, and it may fade away, but the memories will linger on. For 319, this is Mark Baldwin reporting.
Oh my God.
That was a memorial, and it will not be long before that passes away. Our next film also might fall into this category because it's about a way of life that has changed. Many of you may have remembered the actual changing of it. H.P. Krinn, who lives in Stanhope, sent us a film of threshing oats the way it used to be. And we've asked one of our cameramen, Denny Flickinger, who knows all about farming, to tell you what's happening.
Hold B, take 2, zoom in. Dissolve the B.
This is a sight you'll see in July, Betty. This is a field of ripe oats blowing in the wind. They're very, very golden color. Very pretty sight. This is where windrowing has started, where they cut the oats off and lay it out in a windrow. And you'll note here that all the heads of the oats on the grain are at the top, and they all lay in the same direction. This is where they're using an old binder. It's where it cuts it off and the reel drops it over, and it runs out the other side. You'll see here in a second, but this is a day that's long been seen. And they used to have somebody ride on that and pull that with horses. Where you see the oats that runs out on the ground there, that used to be where the bundles came out, right there. There used to be an apparatus in there. It wrapped each one of them individually with twine. It came out of that box. And I've spent many days sitting on one of those, bouncing down across the field.
When you were about the age of the boy that was sitting there.
Yeah, about that age. They do make a windrower, which does the same purpose, but instead of spending the money, most people just converted these over and added a piece of tin on and used it. It worked very adequate.
It's a graceful piece of equipment.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like an octopus going down through the field. It's I don't know, it's something that you'll never forget once you've ever run on one. Drops all these off so that the heads all lay the same direction, which is very necessary for being combined.
Why?
Well, that's because the heads are on the top, and that way the grain is beaten off before the straw gets to it so that the grain falls away quicker. So you don't have what they call overthrow, where the grain actually will be thrown out the back. This is usually cut off like this, and it's let lay for sometimes near a week to dry before they combine it. Now this is a separator. This is Leon Joy from Ames, Iowa, who has an old thresher. This is a small one, where he's setting up I can remember when this happened. This was a demonstration to show people of the years gone by what it was like. This is driven by a big steam tractor, which, if anybody ever has a chance to see, it's quite an amazing sight. A lot of men with grease and pliers in their pocket, and you'll see a man here throwing the grain into the separator. They always throw the bundles in with the grain in the heads first. Same principle which would go through a combine. This is an old case steam tractor with a Port Huron separator. Straw, of course, comes out this chute right here, belching out the old black smoke. Some kid found a snake, apparently, in a stack of bundles, which was very common.
Still could happen.
Oh, yes. Big long belt that always used to just set right down. When it pulled real hard, it would just droop way down next to the ground. Everybody taking their turn here. Without this, a lot of people never ever see anything like it because it's days gone by.
Early 30s then?
Oh, I would say when it was in its prime, yeah, it would be in their early 30s. I'd say by the late 30s, it was pretty much gone with the steam tractor. A lot of gas-powered units in the old thrashing runs, but I was fortunate as a kid that our folks was on a thrashing run, and it was many good times. Everybody got their straw hat thrown through the machine the last bundle went through. Shaker system and the fans and the big old pipe that always used to shoot the straw out. One of the worst jobs there was, to stack straw. Very dirty job. It was very necessary, used for bedding. Real old machine. Amazing sound that comes out of one of those tractors.
And it's amazing, too, to have a cameraman who does all kinds of things and does them so well and tells us all about farming. Denny, thank you very, very much. And that was our film on threshing. We want to remind you, now if you have film that you've shot, send it to Stringer's Newscast, WOI-TV, Ames, Iowa, 50011, and look for it on future shows. We won't cut it, we'll take good care of it, we'll keep it clean, and we'll send it back to you. We also hope that next week you will watch Iowa Perspectives, when at issue we'll present some information on exercise, and we think you'll like it. We would also right now like to pay tribute to all of those people who made tonight's program possible. Rick, let's show them who they are.
Start your cart. Over to Super Ed.